Hello and welcome to this video on the essential bonsai tools needed for a beginner. You might be immediately thinking, why beginner tools? The answer is just as simple. The tools you use as a beginner will be the same tools you use right through your bonsai journey. As you progress, there will be more creative ways to use these tools or customized tools that are made to fit your specific needs. In either case, we can't really tell you how to deal with your exact tools or situation. What we can describe and explain is the tools you will have now and right through your experience. As a beginner in bonsai, starting with the right tools is mostly key to properly caring for and styling your trees without causing unnecessary damage. We'll try and describe most of the essential tools, focusing on pruning, shaping, repotting, and maintenance. There's about 6 to 8 things you'll need, typically, as a newcomer or as an ongoing bonsai enthusiast, and most of these are what you'll get as a recommendation if you ask any kind of expert, so we're not claiming to be an expert, but we can certainly recommend many of the same tools. This list is by no means exhaustive, especially when we talk about advanced work, but it covers the basics to get you started effectively and keep going. So first of all, you have pruning shears. These are also called bonsai scissors. They are sharp, scissor-like tools with long handles and narrow blades. They're designed for precise cutting. They're used to trim leaves, shoots, small branches, and twigs. Unlike regular scissors, which tend to be somewhat broader, let's say, they have a narrow tip which allows you to reach between dense foliage to make a clean cut without crushing plant tissue. What makes them essential for beginners and practically everybody else is that as your tree grows, you will need to regularly prune to maintain shape and health. A regular garden shears can work, but depending on where you're trying to cut and what you're trying to cut, you don't so much cut as you mangle, and this does lead to poor health, and let's say the possible issues from that, but to be blunt about it, bonsai-specific tools tend to ensure clean cuts and promote faster recovery and prevent disease, which makes your life easier. Again, not absolutely essential, but it does make life easier. You want to typically opt for something that's 7 to 8 inches, roughly 15 to 20 centimeters in size, with obviously scissor action blades, and if you can, replaceable springs. Again, not necessary if you want to go basic, and frankly we prefer it, but it's your choice. And of course, if you can, get stainless steel for easier maintenance, but it's again not necessary. Carbon steel is often cheaper and easier to get, and these will apply to most of the tools we mentioned as well. And then clean them afterwards, which helps to avoid rust. And then we have concave cutters, or as they're also called, concave branch cutters. They are a specialized cutter with a curve or concave jaw that creates a scooped out cut, similar to an ice cream scoop for all intents and purposes. They're used not only to remove large branches, but to cut them back flush to the trunk or main stem. The concave cutter shape leaves a small depression and allows the wound to heal flat and smoothly. It's essential because, well, improper branches can leave unsightly scars or bumps. You would see this with a tree knot. This tool will minimize scarring, helps to somewhat speed up healing, although not exactly, and is essential when you're learning to style trees without trying to leave permanent scarring and damage. Choose an 8-inch size that will handle up to about a half-inch branch. Go for carbon steel for sharpness and maintain it well. If you want to make sure you've got it right, practice with scrap wood. Any lightweight or soft wood would do the job to begin practicing. A balsa is a good example of this. The wire cutters are next. Short, rounded jaw cutters specifically used for bonsai. Unlike regular wire cutters, which tend to be somewhat more blunt and, to a lesser extent, cut in a way that it can prove to be damaging to your tree, these are designed in such a way that they shouldn't do that. It shouldn't be the operative word there. They are, given they are called wire cutters, are used to cut wire. Now you can use them to remove trailing wire without damaging the bark and obviously cutting your either copper or aluminium wire as you apply it or after you've applied it to your bonsai. The stubby little beak design slides under the wire, allowing for a precise cut without again cutting into the branch or bark. This is essential because you will be shaping and styling trees. That means you will not only apply, but then later remove wire. Household pliers will crush bark, destroy leaves, tear parts of it. They potentially cause all sorts of harm, whilst these should protect those same delicate parts of the bonsai. Choose wire cutters that are 7 to 8 inches in length. This is somewhere around 15 to 20 centimeters, and make sure you get a pair with bullnose jaws. Use them only for wire, and try and keep the edges sharp, which can be a challenge. Then you have a bonsai training wire. Aluminium or copper is your options, and don't buy steel or anything else. And to be blunt, you're more likely to be finding aluminium at the moment than you are copper. Not only because copper wire is much rarer now, but it's also much more expensive. It's a flexible wiring coming in various gauges or thicknesses for bending branches, maintaining the style, shape, and position. You wrap them around the branches or trunks and gently bend the wire to hold it in place, and this creates desired positioning and styling of the tree structure over time. This is, well, obviously essential because without this, you won't have a styled bonsai. You'll have a nice, very carefully curated topiary tree. Okay, it's not quite that bad. You can do cut and grow approaches to certain bonsai species, but they are slower, more difficult, and you can't get quite the same level of refinement. So you do need wire. Without that, you can't effectively train branches to grow in specific directions. Aluminium wire is typically somewhat softer, and it comes in all the standard gauges, but if you want to stick to just a few, aim for 1, 2, and 3 or so millimeter wire. You want to try and match your wire to the thickness of about 1/3 of the branch diameter if you want to try and get a specific measurement, because this is just thick enough to hold but not so thick as to cause harm. Option 2 is grab a bit of the wire, hold it out a length from the rest of the spool, and gently push on the branch. If you can move the branch with the wire at that distance, easy. If you can't, you need thicker wire. Remove this after 3 to 6 months to avoid any kind of scarring. And then you have a root rake or hook. This is a tool with a, kind of obviously, a hooked or raked pronged. This can either be dual or one hook-ended. And sometimes you get 3, but they all do the same basic thing. During repotting, you tease out the tangled roots, remove old soil, and ideally level new soil and get it nicely between the roots. This avoids damaging them and means those fine feeder roots have places to grow and resources to call on. The reason it's essential is that a repotting is a regular and necessary event. It occurs every 1 to 2 years. If you don't have that, well, you'll have poor root health and tree vitality. Ultimately, the tree will die. Without this, roots begin to circle and strangle the tree. Doing this also prevents damage that finer, devices may not be able to do because they're too fine, and more solid devices, like for example your fingers, might cause damage with. Try and find a versatile dual end model. If you're budgeting tightly, chopsticks will do the same job, and just be a little more careful with them. Then you have tweezers with spatulas, or bonsai tweezers. These are long, fine-tipped tweezers, often with a flat spatula on one end. They're for plucking weeds, dead needles, or moss, and the spatulas for damping down the soil around roots or under branches during repotting. You can, if you're doing this with a single hook root rake, use that too, but it's a little more awkward and slower going. The reason you need this is for precision, particularly precision maintenance of things like weeds and moss. Your fingers, no matter how delicate your fingers may be, are too clumsy for the task. And apparently child labour is frowned upon now, so you can't just find a random kid and ask them to go in and do the work for you. Damn. This tool makes detailed care easier and prevents accidental damage to the tiny elements of your bonsai. And try and keep your little tweezers and spatula handy, for example on a magnetic strip. Stainless steel versions are low maintenance, and, well, they do exactly the same thing carbon version do, but they do cost more again. Just bear this in mind. Next we have the knob cutter. No, this is not a dirty term. It's an actual device. It's a cutter with a spherical jaw for aggressive wood removal. It bites into branches or trunks to remove knobs, stubs, and excessive wood quickly, leaving a smooth concave surface for healing. This is essential because it allows for refined cuts after initial pruning, especially on thicker parts. It helps to achieve a clean aesthetic without leaving protrusions that scar. This again is a throwback to that previously mentioned thing about knots on trees, dead wood, and similar. This may not be your first purchase, but add it early if you're working with pre-bonsai stock, and pair it with your concave cutters for better results. There is some additional advice we can mention, particularly for beginners starting out. I begin with the first few things we mentioned: shears, concave cutters, wire cutters, and wire. If your budget is tight, these are the most used things you'll need for basic styling and pruning. Quality is more important at that point than diversity of tools. Now, Japanese tools are premium but come at a higher price. Most often Chinese tools are the next option, which typically they're okay value and they're reasonably cheap, and then you have whatever you find at your local discount store. Your local discount store, if it does carry some of these things, probably has some questionable longevity, so depending on how much money you have, aim for the best thing you can buy at the price at the time and look after it. We've shown in previous videos how, for example, you can blue steel in order to keep it going for longer, how to sharpen the tools you have, and so on and so forth. And this is also going to bring you to maintenance. Always clean and oil tools after use to try and prevent rust. A simple tool kit, oil, rust eraser, a loose cloth, and something similar to that, maybe even some sand, is worthwhile to extend the life of your tools. And then sharpening stones if you can. If you can't do sharpening stones, you can use a belt sander or similar. Just be very careful and very selective in the kind of belt you're using. And finally, where to buy. Look for sets from reputable bonsai suppliers. Avoid using household alternatives if you can, and certainly not for the long term. They can cause more harm to your bonsai than they are going to help you in saving money and keeping it going. There are some other basic tools, and while not tools, you'll need them. A bonsai soil, pots, and a watering can at the fine rows for gentle watering. Again, you can get away without these initially. Certainly, if you have a new bonsai, you shouldn't need a soil or pot as well. You shouldn't need to repot it anytime soon. A watering can, well, a couple do until you get something more suitable. This setup should equip you reasonably well and allow you to be quite happy and reasonably successful in the start of your bonsai journey. By no means is it the end, as said. This is just the start, and these are tools you will keep using if you stay in bonsai for very long, and forever if you keep going forever, or at least until death, either of you or your bonsai. It's a toss-up some of the time. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it interesting, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. And please do post any comments, questions, or suggestions you have below.